It's been a while, friends. Tonight we rejoin our friends in the virtual world as another fantastic season of racing passes us into the history books. We've been fortunate the opportunity to come at you live from the virtual dirt track at Charlotte for BRPTV's first time behind the scenes at Media Day for the BRP iRacing series. It's a pleasure to join everyone at this 4/10 mile, well-regarded facility just after the World Finals concluded major dirt racing for the 2022 calendar. Tonight, we get ready for the BRP iRacing series by meeting the officials, drivers, and the very handsome duo behind the mics for you to hopefully get as hyped as we are for the series to start. It's a pleasure to have you back. You may know and recognize this voice. I am Joe Donahue. I've been with this series a few seasons now. I think this is my third calling the shots. As you can see, Pennsylvania home. Proud of my PA posse, but I'm a big modified sucker, and especially when it comes to the BRP iRacing series. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be back with all of you. And I am joined for the first time this season by my lovely new friend, Jonathan Howe. Jonathan, welcome to the series. Take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Got to point out, Canadians sweeping the modifieds down at the World Finals this past week.
Yeah, they did. I kept up a lot with the sprint car side of things. That got pretty close, but the modified side, even though Matt Shepard is pretty far and away the champion of all of the super dirt car stuff, they were doing some pretty good racing. Ex-driver of this series, one of the alumnus of the BRP iRacing series, Demetrius Drelos, had a hell of a night on Saturday, and that was very fun to watch as well. So we welcome you to Charlotte. As we mentioned, it is Media Day. This is a session full of just practice for all of these guys to come out, and a little bit of practice for us too with the tickers and getting into the flow of things, meeting all the drivers, and we're going to go ahead and meet all of the drivers as we go through the practice session tonight. But to start things off, Jonathan, we want to talk about the schedule of events for what we're expecting to see this season and all of the shows that we've got for you. We are here at Media Day, and then next week we will start off the season. We are 1 day short of a year exactly from the last Pete Costco Memorial. That was held on November 8th last year. This year it's going to be next Monday on the 14th, but almost a year from it. And then we will head to Lernerville, I-55, Knoxville, Weedsport, and Lanier in December. We'll round out the 2022 portion of the schedule. And then we go into Port Royal, Cedar Lake, Williams Grove, Weedsport, Lucas Oil, Lima Land, Port Royal again, Charlotte, Lernerville, Volusia, Fairbury, Knoxville, Eldora, Charlotte. I hit all of them. Charlotte will be, this place we are right now will be the site of our finale at the end of 21 races, which, Jonathan, for your first season here with us, that's a lot of races, but surely that is enough breadth of a schedule with enough different, unique racetracks that we should really find the real cream of the crop here.
Absolutely, and it's very real, very similar to like a real schedule for some of these guys who are used to racing locally. I think we got in about 21 weeks of racing at Maryville Speedway. A couple different shows maybe got rained out, some holiday stuff that makes up a couple extra dates on the schedule. So this is very realistic to a lot of these guys who are used to running weekly, except they're going to be running from the comfort of their living room, their gaming room, and I think there's going to be a lot less headaches in terms of wrenching on race cars and braking stuff. So I'm sure these guys appreciate that. And I think the most exciting thing for most of these drivers is just the ability to stay sharp. For some of the guys who are actually behind race cars all summer long, this is their chance to stay sharp. I know my podcast co-host, Travis Cunningham, who's racing in this league this year, that was what he said he was most excited about. He's going to be forced to keep up on the driving all winter long in the virtual world, like we say. And I'm looking forward to just the various amounts of racetracks that we're going to get to see up close and personal. Some that maybe some have been to, some that we haven't been to. Like, you hear so much about a place like Port Royal, but I've never been there. But this is going to be a decent substitute, I'd say, no?
I would definitely say so, and I like that you use Port Royal as a reference because the last time we raced the BRP big block modifieds, I will stop rolling over my tongue saying that at some point. When we raced these guys last, Port Royal wasn't in iRacing, and we've never raced at I-55 before. Lucas Oil is a brand new track to the sim as a dirt track, so these are some racetracks that are going to throw a little bit of a curveball into things. The Pacholski Memorial was held at Lernerville last year. It's going to be at Volusia this year. And I think the big thing about this schedule, one of the things that worked really well last season we did with the big blocks was double races, like 2 races at the same track. Really helped the racing the second time we went to some of these places. And that was definitely on the priority list when building this schedule this year. So 21 races is going to be a fairly long season for us, Jonathan, but like you said, and like I'm expecting, I think we're going to be having a good time with it.
Yeah, and I really like that from the standpoint of competition. You got Charlotte. The 2 Charlotte races are fairly close together on the schedule, so when it comes time, if we get some tight points battles, we get some tight standing battles in the standings, the Charlotte race, it's going to be somewhat fresh in everybody's mind, and you're going to be able to have the guys experienced it, to say the least. But that extra 25 laps, I wonder how that's going to play. And that's the other thing, too, is some of these races are pretty long, pretty lengthy. I know some of the tracks, obviously, like Lanier, it's not the biggest place. 100 laps, though, it's pretty demanding, even in the virtual world.
Yeah, absolutely. The Pacholski Memorial last year was 117 laps, the same as it is this year, but it felt long, and there's a couple long races on the schedule. Limaland was 100 laps last year as well, but that's a short track. So but we'll see how it goes. Charlotte being 100 laps, you're right, definitely going to be interesting to watch for. But some of these races are sponsored for their evenings, respectively. We'll talk a little bit more about that as the evening goes on right here. But when we talk about sponsors and partners, we want to make a big shout out to start off the broadcast, just thanking everybody who is a part of this series. So we'll take a quick second to give a shout out to MDR Designs with Matt DeRidder. He is one of the admins of the series. He does paints. A lot of the paints that you're going to see this season were made by Matt. You can go check him out on Trading Paints, or go to Instagram, Facebook, even just reach out to Matt himself and check out all the great work he does for real race cars, iRacing, and plenty of graphic design stuff. He's got a lot of experience. There's Jam Performance. If you know, you know. That's Joe Matthews. That's all he wants to say about it. Creative Turnings. Dan Correa, his son Tanner, raced in this series previously. Dan does homemade wood craftsmanship. He makes pens. He'll do other sorts of things with a lathe. And, we've said a lot in the past when it comes to the holiday season and gift giving. There's not much better you can do than getting something handmade, homemade, craft-made, American-made. So go to Facebook, check out Creative Turnings, and all of that is available. We want to thank the Super Dirt Car Series for being a part of the show. Obviously, the Super Dirt Car Series, the ground-pounding beasts of the Northeast, as they're referred to. A couple of these drivers race with the Super Dirt Car Series. Some of these guys work with the Super Dirt Car Series. It's a huge honor to have their sticker on our broadcast as well. We appreciate them supporting what all these guys come out to do when the Super Dirt Car guys take their winter off. I want to thank Dig Race Products for coming on board. Dig Race Products has a sole focus on Northeast dirt modified shocks and suspension tuning. They're located in central New York. They're an industry leader at track shock and setup support. They have hands-on at the track approaches to what they do, leading to the design and development of high-quality shock absorbers for dirt oval racing and the dirt oval racing market. DigRaceProducts.com is where you can go to get more information, and obviously go to the shop anytime to get yourself set up for a victory with Dig Racing Products. Finally, we want to thank BRPtv for coming together. Jonathan and I, new to the duo here at BRPtv. It is an immense pleasure to kind of be in-house for this series and have a little bit more freedom to do what we want and have such a great group of people behind us to represent when we bring you these broadcasts. So all of these guys on top of, obviously, the Beef and Matt for putting things together. 47 Technology, Jonathan, you'll be able to talk a little bit about what you and Travis do with your podcast, because you guys are going to be sponsoring some races. And we've got a couple things in store with that, but if you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about what you do, Jonathan, even though we don't have a logo up there, you guys are a big part of this too.
Yeah, it's come together pretty quickly for the Southern Ontario Dirt Show's podcast involvement in the series. You know, we had Beef on a couple weeks ago to talk about maybe, just tell us about the series, what's coming up. Travis is going to run the series, of course, and he is my co-host, of course, on that podcast. And we figured there's a race actually on Travis's birthday, and we figured, you know what, pretty cool one to jump on board and sponsor. And we run at Merrittville Speedway the Gary Cunningham Memorial for Travis's father, who is a pretty legendary person in the racing community around Southern Ontario, in the Niagara region, like where I'm from. And it was a good chance to, we've got the Pete Costco. Let's get the Gary Cunningham in there. So that's going to be at Weed Sport on January 30th. And then we actually had a vote this week on our social feeds at @sods_pod. That's SODS_POD. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook with that handle. We've got we had a little vote on which track should maybe we jump on board and give a sponsorship to. And I believe, let me check the results here, but I believe it was Port Royal that ended up winning it. So that is going to be what we end up going with. I think we're going to have a second race sponsorship. Lock that in with Beef in the coming weeks. Port Royal ended up beating out Knoxville by a narrow margin, 7%, 39% for Port Royal, 32% for Knoxville, and then Lernerville and I-55 tied at 14. So we're excited to have sponsorship of a couple race events, excited to have a driver in the series. I'm excited to be behind the mic, and the other thing too is it gives us something to talk about all winter long while we're waiting for the cars to hit some of our local tracks again.
That is absolutely what the BRP iRacing series is for, and we're very, very honored to have you. I'm very honored to have you in the booth with me, Jonathan, but we're very honored to have Southern Ontario Dirt Show putting together some of the sponsorship for the races. 47 Technology is doing the same. I'm not going to talk about that too much. It's my own kind of thing. I do with 3D printing. We'll talk about that as the season goes on. But I'm taking Williams Grove with the 47 Technology banner for the Cyber Nationals. I'm pretty proud of that name. So that's going to be
a good one.
I'm pretty proud of that. So that's going to be what we can look forward to for the entirety of the season. If you want to keep up with things with us on socials, also we'll plug that you can go to Facebook and look up BRPtv to follow the BRPtv page. You can go to Instagram and follow at the BRP iRacing series to keep up with things there. And obviously be sure to subscribe and get the button clicked to get notifications when we go live here on this YouTube channel. This is going to be the exclusive place to find your BRP iRacing events broadcasted. And with that, Jonathan, I'll let you go first, my friend. We will pull somebody down here. So the point of Media Day is not for John and I to babble about ourselves. The point is to meet the drivers, and I think it's time we start meeting some of these guys and talking to them about their season, what they're expecting out of the series, and what the future holds for them. So I will give you full range, Jonathan. If you want to pick a name, we'll pull somebody down here and we'll start talking to them.
Well, should we start with the maybe the man behind the leash? Should we start with the Beef himself?
Oh, that is a great idea. That is a great idea. Let's bring him down.
Want to line up at the front?
Is the Beef with us?
Checking out.
Corby, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Awesome, there he is. All right, sweet. How's it going, my friend? You are a close friend of ours now. You're getting to be a friend of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast, but you are a key cog in the machine that is BRPtv and the BRP iRacing League. So maybe for some of the people who are new to tuning into the series, Corby, why don't you take us through how this came to be and how he really got started with this, if anybody doesn't know the story.
So basically, we started out at the beginning of COVID. A couple guys from BRP wanted to race. We all had sim rigs, so we're like, oh, let's start a league. and we started out with 4 guys, and we've grown it over the last couple of years to what we got now. Looks like we're doing a little bit of a simulated race here for you boys. Apparently Travis Miller's orchestrating it, so.
Oh, you guys are going to line up and give us an actual one going here?
It seems like it. That's what's going on right now.
That's awesome. How is the car feeling? How are you feeling about your skills going into it? I know you've been modest, to say the least, a little humble about your driving skills.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not the best guy out here, but I give him a run sometimes, but most of the time I'm more of a mid-pack guy, especially when I'm trying to deal with everything during the night, but it's just for fun, so, you know, I enjoy getting on here and racing with the guys every Monday, and it's good to watch the guys up front that battle it out and put on really good shows, so hoping this year, you know, I can keep myself out of trouble and maybe do half decent in the points, but, you know, we'll see.
What's your main goal? Who's the one guy in the league that you are committed to beating? Like, if you can beat them, you're calling yourself a successful season.
You know, if I can finish ahead of the 22 junior this season, I'll call that a good season.
Awesome. I think you got a good shot, but maybe not the best shot. We'll see.
Yeah,
that 22 could be strong. We'll talk to him a little bit later on. But before we get you out of here, just talk to us about the number choice. Where's the number choice come for you? Why is that a special number? Why did that one make sense for you?
You know, I grew up playing hockey, and I was always I was actually 00 for a long time. And I was 31 and 29, all the normal goalie numbers, you know. And then I got into racing and helping out Matt and stuff. And I always liked the Buzz 2 car, and I just decided to go with 88. It just seemed to fit a little bit better than 3 or 6, so that's what we ended up going with. And I've been running it, I don't know, 3 or 4 seasons now, so.
Well, that 88. That 88 car was pretty fast this past week down at the real Charlotte dirt track. So we'll see what the 88's got this season for us. Thanks for coming on, Corby, and good luck with. Have you guys managed to start this race? What's Miller got going on?
Oh, I don't know. It seems they've gotten spread out now. I'm not sure what they're doing, but you know, we'll just try to keep her on her off her lid this season and try to make a run for the points.
Awesome, buddy. Sounds good. Thanks for coming on, and thanks for taking the time to join us, eh?
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And that was Corby Daniels. There he is. We will send him back to talk with the rest of everybody else, and we'll bring in the other one. I'll go ahead and take Matt DeRidder, the other of our 2 moderators and leaders of the charge. Matt O'Donohue, BRPtv. Happy to say that. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
All righty, Matt. It is a pleasure to be back with you and with the series. I know you put a lot of work into this over the off season. Maybe bring everybody watching up to speed a little bit on what it's kind of taken for us to get together this season, and especially BRPtv.
Yeah, man, it's been quite busy. I know the off season, not much have been posted or anything, but behind the scenes trying to get things set up during the real race season is hard enough. But I know we did a lot of work with getting, you know, paints ready and the new graphics on the stream ready, and you know, it's just been a wild off season trying to do all that. But hopefully everything's looking good and people are enjoying the media day.
Yeah, I definitely think it's looking good. I mean, for those who aren't with the background aware, the BRPtv graphics all came out of the MDR Designs camp. Matt put a lot of work into making these designs, getting everything laid out nice. I mean, I put it into a system, but he really did the nitty-gritty background work, and so it's just a pleasure to bring it to you. And talking more on the racing side now, you know, we talk about BRPtv, but we got to talk about Matt DeRidder. You won a race last year, and I would say last year was a pretty good season for you all around. I think, you know, getting a couple top 10s, and obviously you won at Lanier. That was I think that was probably the best moment of the season. Do you think you have more in store this season, or we have 21 races this time instead of 14, so you got 7 more opportunities to get another checkered flag?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting having the small blocks out there too. It's gonna, especially with the little setup changes we've been working on. It's gonna be an interesting choice each week. I don't really run small block that much. I honestly haven't. I mean, we've done some practice races, but I haven't been in most of them. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting trying to get some laps in with those and just getting used to it. But I know a lot of the tracks out there, I feel like I run pretty decent at, and I just end up doing something dumb. But linear definitely on that list of races that I'm looking forward to again. Just a very comfortable track, I'd say. But overall, I mean, I like Volusia. I think we ran well there. But yeah, more opportunity, and I definitely feel a lot stronger this season than I did last season. So
That's great to hear. That is really great to hear. We'll hope to see some variety in winners and maybe get you up there again. Tell me, before we let you head back to this session, I want to hear what your expectations and your goals are as a driver, as a series director, as part of the BRPtv team. What are your real main, I want this to happen with all around MDR designs even? What are you looking for out of the 2022 to 2023 season?
Honestly, I want it to be a very entertaining season. I would love to have some points drama like we've seen in the past. And overall, I think we've kind of polished things up with the lineup. I know we've got a lot of great guys in here, very many familiar faces to go along with it. So I'm hoping we can all keep it clean and fun and tight in a pack. And I think if it's anything like the linear race, we'll definitely have some fun with this group of guys.
I could definitely agree with that. Well, thank you for coming on with us, Matt, and taking the time to talk to us. We appreciate it, and all the work you do with the series as well. So best of luck to you tonight, and we will be talking to you again this season.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And that is Matt DeRidder. And before we continue on, I will hit on this point. We were going to hit on this, but just to clarify what Matt was talking about. So this season is not big block modified racing. It is the big blocks versus small block season. Every driver is required to race 8 at a minimum events with the small block 358 modified in iRacing rather than the big block, and that should shake things up a fair amount throughout the season. It's a little bit of a strategy game to pick the right events to race the small block and it be even maybe a competitive edge, at least if not equal to the big block, because I mean power is speed a lot of the time. But so that's what Matt is talking about. We were going to hit on that ourselves, but just taking his lead, we will go from there. Jonathan will bring another one in. If you got a favorite or a pick of who you want to bring in next, we can keep them rolling.
I would really love to, excuse me, my voice is a little tweaking out, but I would love to give a shout out to the big dog, Brian Berger, one of our local heroes around my parts. Had a great season in the street stocks and excited to see what he can do in the modifieds virtually. So let's bring in the big dog now. Brian Berger, how are you doing, my friend?
I think we're all right. I just got turned, but...
Ooh, well, that's a little spicy in the practice here on media day. But, you are a street stock driver, but you're taking over the modified seat for the off-season here. So how much confidence do you have in a modified in the virtual world?
I don't know. Not a lot, but it's what I stick to mostly all winter. That's what I did all last winter with the BRP deal here. So I think we'll be all right.
Awesome. And you're running the nice 84 to this season. I'm glad you're keeping that number, your racing number, all throughout the season. So looking ahead at the schedule, is there one track that you're excited and you maybe feel like is your best chance to maybe surprise these guys and get up there and steal a win?
I don't really know. There's so many new tracks this year that they took away my favorite ones. I always used to enjoy Kokomo and the old USA International, and I don't see they're on the schedule. So those are always my strong ones, but we'll see. We're okay most places. I don't really like Charlotte here, but we're doing all right, I think.
I see you running the top side. We're watching you right now on the stream here. Lots of traffic out there. It seems like a whole bunch of you all hit the track all at the same time, and it's pretty wild to see. Wanted to ask you about your actual racing season in 2022. A very successful season for you. You were right up in there at any track you went to. You were a factor for most wins. So what do you think 2023 is going to have in store? Is there anything you're looking forward to in 2023 when it comes to getting back behind the wheel?
Hopefully we run like we did, but you never know. Stuff changes over the off season. Guys change stuff and things change. So I don't know. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I'm glad we already got a month out of the way. So hopefully the rest of them go by fast. Yeah,
it is. It's going by pretty quickly, and you're going to be back racing with us in Southern Ontario very, very soon. Is there one guy you want to beat in this league more than anybody else? Is there somebody that you're like, okay, if I can just make sure that I finish ahead of this driver in the standings, I'm going to be calling this a successful iRacing season?
I don't know. There's so many good guys in here that I can't really pinpoint one. Everybody's so good. I don't really know. I'd have to think about that for a while.
Fair enough. Oh, dodging some wild action behind you, too, as you drive through and just miss a spinning. I think that was the 49 car that was spinning. But it was great to talk to you, Ryan. I'm going to let you go and get some more clean laps in like you've been doing. Keep it up and represent Southern Ontario well in this league, eh, buddy?
Yep, I'll try my best.
Cheers, bud. That is the big dog, Ryan Beagle, street stock veteran around these parts in Southern Ontario. Had the pleasure to interview him in Victory Lane multiple times and had him on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast as well throughout the season this past year in 2022. And he's going to be definitely one of the guys that I'm keeping an eye on, Joe. I'm a big fan of the big dog, Ryan Beagle. I think I kind of want him. He's got this really classic like red and black scheme that he runs on his street stock normally, and I don't see it on his 84 car yet. But I'm hoping that maybe he'll put some time in, or maybe he'll get somebody to recreate it for him, and that would be awesome to see the street stock car, the street stock scheme on a modified.
Yeah, he usually does have that. So I think this is just sort of a housekeeping thing with iRacing. There's been a couple updates since the last time we were on, so I think he's got to go in and recheck some boxes for it to show up. But he just got absolutely kamikazed in the corner there.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Yeah. So, but he does have that scheme. So I do as well. I hope that gets put back on this car and we can see that come out again soon, because that is a very iconic looking car. Even with this group, I mean, there aren't a ton of schemes that have been around the entirety of my time with BRP, but that is one of them. Hopefully we get that back in here soon enough. We will continue the role of the driver roll call here, and we will bring in another name to talk to, and I'm going to get a hold of a guy who raced in and out with us a lot, and I heard something about retirement this past season. Brian Berger is in the booth with us. You got a copy?
Hey, how you doing?
We're doing pretty good, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for another BRP iRacing season.
Absolutely, my man, just as much as we are. Well, maybe as much as we are. I'm pretty excited about this. But talk us through your past year. I mean, you seem like you've had some pretty big life changes and things happening.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we did announce that we were going to retire after 32 seasons racing at Lebanon Valley. I say retire, but I mean we're not going to race every week. Going to keep a car and race a little bit here and there. We're going to start off in Volusia in February and, see what happens from there. But, we had the best year of our career, actually. The year I was going to, call it quits. We won 2 big races this year and finished second a few times and third, and it was just a great year.
Well, that's awesome to hear, and I hope that momentum will carry to your next couple events that you decide to partake in. It's definitely one of the cool things about this series is getting to talk to and see guys like you race in this series, people who, I mean, the car is modeled after your actual car. It's something that brings a little pizzazz to this series. And maybe talk about kind of what does an iRacing series like this mean to you as a driver, when the off-season happens, you can't go racing. And on top of all of that, this is objectively less expensive than racing. So maybe talk about what this series does mean to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, it's something great to do over the winter. Keeps you busy, and we race with a bunch of great guys, so it's cool to talk to everybody while we're racing, and it's a respectful league. Usually, we all run clean, and it's good. But I got to tell you, it's definitely it's definitely something that helps you actually on the track. Because when you race here in this league, everybody's got the same setup. So ultimately, if you're not winning, it's you. It's not the car. So I've learned that you need to try different lines. You need to try different things from a throttle control perspective. And believe it or not, I firmly believe it helped me on the racetrack. So I just love to come Monday nights and have a good time with the guys. And we've been running a lot better here in iRacing. So got a second and a third in the practice races. So I'm pretty excited about the season coming up.
You did do that. We saw that ourselves here with BRPtv. We saw you pull that, and you had 2 top 10s last season, which may not seem like a ton off the tongue, but I think that shows progress, and we're definitely looking. You have high expectations for the season. What kind of numerical goals are you looking for? Wins? Are we looking to have a certain amount of top 5s, top 3s for the season? What's driving you to the front with this new 21 race season on our docket?
Yeah, I mean, I think last year I was just trying to say, keep going forward every week. But this year I think we've got a legitimate shot at top 5s and maybe even a podium finish. And if all goes well, who knows, maybe we get the first win. But I mean, really, I'm just looking to have a good time. And, that's the best thing about this. Like you said, it's not as expensive. So, I mean, it's a lot easier to deal with an off night than after you spend as much as we spend to race on Fridays and Saturday nights. So, I think a couple podiums would be realistic to set as a goal, and a long shot would be to get in victory lane.
Well, hey, I wouldn't count you out for any of them. I think you've got a good shot this year. It's a pleasure to have you back, and we'll definitely be rooting to see you get some of those higher finishes that we know you deserve with this series. And thank you for being loyal to it, and thank you for coming out tonight and for the rest of the season as well.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, and that is Brian Berger, driver of the number 60 for Phase 3 Racing and Jam Performance. One of the very, like I said, loyal drivers to this series. He's been around for a couple of years and definitely a good guy, if you couldn't tell. Very genuine person, so pleasure to have him. And Jonathan, we'll hand the mic back to you and we'll pull in another one.
Yeah, you know what? I would love to catch up with my local champion, but maybe a little bit dramatic, my local co-champion, Ryan Soucy, co-champion at Merrittville Speedway. It'd be great to catch up with him and see his thoughts entering this league this year, the Ryan Soucy 38 machine. And I believe we've got Ryan now. Ryan, welcome to the booth. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad, my friend. You are co-champion in the real world this year at Merrittville Speedway, where I got the chance to call a lot of your racing action, and I'm excited to continue that into the virtual world. What do you think it's going to take to be the outright champion in this league, and do you think you got the skills to pull it off?
Miracles is what it'll take, and realistically, probably not, but there's nothing really here for me other than to have fun with my boys, so got a good bunch of, good group here that Beef's whole deal he put together. A bunch of guys locally that we hang out all the time, helps me on my crew, and then a bunch of other guys from all over the place that are a lot of fun to race with. So just a good way to kill some time on a Monday night. Look forward to it every week, even though generally I leave angry and upset, but that's the fun of it, I guess.
Well, I'm sure when you're angry and upset, it's a little bit less expensive than when you're angry and upset leaving the racetrack on a Saturday night. We just got up with Brian Berger, who talked about, the iRacing has kind of helped him in his driving career. and especially with these fixed setups, you have to kind of move around, get used to changing your lines. So do you feel like in your experience, the iRacing helps you out?
On the cars and the handling, probably not so much. Obviously, you don't get that feel of the grip and the lateral grip, the side bite, and the acceleration and stuff that you get in real life. But just the few tracks that they have here that I've actually raced in real life, it is beneficial there. At the end of this year, we actually raced at Lernerville, and it was the first time we ever went there. And it's like you have a lot of practice laps on iRacing. You wouldn't think it mean a whole lot, but when I got there, actually, I felt really comfortable, and we were able to get a win. So I'm not going to credit all of that to iRacing, but I'm sure it kind of helped, understanding how the lanes change, and the groove develops. And you honestly, just like in iRacing, it got a little curve right around the outside, and I was able to use that to my advantage. So setups and stuff like that, no, it really doesn't make any sense. But definitely the tracks, they are pretty accurate to real life, so it's kind of a cool deal about it.
Of course, this season a little bit unique with the split schedule, even having to run 8 races in the small block versus the big block. Do you have any kind of strategy about where you want to use those races up? Do you want to just get all 8 out of the way right off the hop? Have you given any thought to that, or are you just going to pick it night by night?
I don't know about strategy, but I'm pretty sure most of the guys are going to save the small blocks for the smaller tracks. Bigger tracks like Charlotte, Volusia, Eldora, those are definitely going to be heavy, big block favorited tracks. So when you get to the smaller stuff, the small blocks might be a little bit more favorable. So maybe I'll go the opposite as everybody else, and I'll throw away the big track races to have a big block at some of the short tracks. I don't know yet, but just like I said, I'm here for fun. I don't expect to go out and win. If it happens, it happens. I think I got one win with these guys in the 3 years I've been doing it, so it's not like I come on Mondays expecting to win. I just want to have some fun and chirp my buddies more than anything.
Speaking of chirps, is there one guy in this league that you're penciling, you're circling, that you want to make sure when it comes to the end of the season that you beat?
No, not really. Miller and Tyler Pacholski both crew on my Maryville ride, so we kind of have a lot of drawing as it is amongst each other. So if I can beat Ty, it's a good night, and if you can beat Travis, it's almost a special night because he's so good. So if I could beat Trav, it's a good night. But I don't need to chirp him. It's just we'll crash and smash and have fun. And just is what it is. Just here for the fun. That's all.
Awesome, buddy. Well, yeah, you earned it. You put together one heck of a season locally here at Maryville Speedway. It was a blast to cover, blast to call, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do in the off-season here. Make sure you keep having fun, keep smiling, and thanks for joining us here tonight, Soucy.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. We'll see you Saturday at the banquet.
Oh, yeah, buddy. You're going to go pick up some hardware.
Hopefully.
Awesome. All right, we'll catch up then. Take care, and stay off the wall, eh?
I'll try.
That's Ryan Soucy, co-champion this year in the modifieds at Maryville Speedway, and looking to have some fun in the off-season in this BRP iRacing League. And if there's one guy I trust to have fun, even though he said, Joey said that he could be a little bit angry, a little bit upset after some of these races, I know that Ryan's going to have a good time.
Yeah, Ryan is one of those guys who can make his face known during these races, and definitely is one of them. Just here to have a good time. Some of these guys come out and they're really looking to win, but like Ryan said, at the end of the day, we're here to have fun. That's what it's all about. We appreciate having Ryan here. We appreciate bringing this guy in. I will go ahead and talk to the driver of the Roar Logistics MVP Network Consulting, number 3A. He has been with this series for a good while. Very loyal name to it, and even picked up a win last season. Adam Hilton, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Adam, we got you here on the stream for the first time with BRPtv. You are coming off of a win last season, but you're coming off of a full season of action in the real world. Maybe talk us through how year 2022 went.
Oh, 2022 was an interesting year. Had a daughter, and so that kind of put a little bit of a limit on racing, but we did some traveling down Pennsylvania, Ohio, and with a modified, and also ran a crank car at Genesee a few times throughout the season, and it was fun, doing some traveling, but it's been tough trying to pull some funds together to run as much as we want to. So we'll see what happens this year, though.
For sure. You guys, a lot of you guys coming down to PA, and nobody gives me the heads up. You got to give me the heads up next time you're coming down. I'd love to come see you in action at the real track, because we get to see you race a lot here with this series and do very well. It would be great to see you in person, but we'll come back to what we've got going on here, because you ran the full season last time out in last winter. You won a race. You've put together a very long history with the series. What kind of expectations or goals are you setting for this 22 to 23 season?
We're just here to have some fun, waste some time. I don't know. I enjoy racing these guys. They're a fun bunch to race with, and just the camaraderie, and then we get to see each other during the race season. So it's pretty neat. I don't have a ton of goals, to be honest. If we can get a couple top fives, I'd be happy with that. I don't get on here as much as probably should to be super competitive, but get on there enough to, once the track slickens off, we're pretty decent. But when the track's super heavy, it seems to be we gotta do some practice and doing that. So
I know that last season for you, I mean, you were dangerous at Fairbury, very, very strong there. But you had a lot of other races that you should probably have won last season. You got caught up in a lot of poor luck at the end of a couple off the top of my dome, remembering times when you should have at least been in the top three. So I'm expecting that you should be fairly dangerous again this season. But one of the things that's different about this season that I'm curious what you as a driver for the series think about, how this affects things, is the big block versus small block deal, having to run those 8 races with the small block engine. We've heard some people talk about it, but I'm curious on what your take is.
It should be pretty interesting. I mean, there's a couple tracks I think you can definitely get away with a 358, but a place like Charlotte, I think it's a little bit too big to run it, so we'll see what happens. I haven't gone through, but I've got a handful of tracks that I think you can get away with a 358, but we'll have to see. You got to plan it out right. We might not hit every race this year, but we're certainly going to try. So it's a definitely unique situation. You're not really going to know who has what without digging into it. So it'll be pretty cool to see where the guys choose to run the 358 cars, because I think they'll be competitive, especially later on, but early on the modified should be quicker. So
that's a pretty fair assessment, I think. I think this aligns with what a lot of other people are saying. And well, I mean, we're not going to keep you too long, because we want to let you have time to get out there, practice, and have some fun. But who's standing behind you? Who do you have to thank and shout out on these broadcasts for coming out and being a part of the series?
So first and foremost, my girlfriend Amber for sure let me do this. Roar Logistics, they've been a sponsor for a long time, and MVP Network Consulting.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you, Adam, for coming up with us, and we'll be looking forward to talking to you hopefully again next week.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
And there is Adam Hilton of the 3A. He won at Fairbury, which was the third to last race of the last season we ran. Pretty dangerous, like I said. I think Volusia was a place that he was pretty strong last season as well. So next week when we go to that Pete Costco Memorial, that's a name that I wouldn't be counting out as we get closer to that race going on. Jonathan, I think he just absolutely creamed to the Double D number 73, but I wouldn't be...
Yeah, Dylan Davidson got it there. That was, I don't know if he was already around. It looks like he was spun, and then the 3A just, I'm just going to hit the reset button and come back out on track.
Yeah, that was, I don't know if that was what he was looking for, but hey, it's practice.
Yeah, exactly, right? All these guys trying to get some experience. One of the guys who I think it's now multiple drivers who have made mention of his abilities, I would love to get Travis Miller into the booth here. And Miller Light, who I'm going to talk to him. I think we got Travis now with us. Travis Miller. Miller Light has joined us. Can you hear us, Travis?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Okay, buddy. I know you were going with the Miller Light nickname, but I've heard you in these Discord chats. Is there any chance I can convince you that your nickname should be Motormouth at this point?
Yeah, I mean, you can roll with that if you want. It don't matter to me.
Awesome. Well, we've had a few guys on already, and your name has come up multiple times for one of the drivers to beat. So, talk to us about your expectations of yourself going into this season.
Well, I mean, hopefully we can run good. We ran a good decent last year. Finished second in points, I think, or third. Brandon was really good last year. We didn't really have much for him. I think we got him a little bit in the middle of the year there, but he was super consistent all throughout the year. And I had a couple really bad nights, and I think he only had like one mediocre night. So it's going to be tough all season. And this year, a lot of guys are really good. Tyler's gotten a lot better. And then there's like your standard guys that have always ran good, like Ryan, and Adam's really good. Bergs has been running better. Beagle's always in the top 5. So as long as we can really put some laps in this off season and try and run good in the league, I mean, that's all you can really do at this point. It's been tough. It's been tough ever since I got this new wheel here a week ago. It's taken a lot to get used to. So hopefully we can figure it out.
Yeah, talk to us about that. You know, we were running a little test race last Monday, and you kind of came into this league almost last minute.
Yeah, I mean, I had a computer before. Like, I've ran with them since they started the league. But Jordan Koska needed a computer, so I sold him my computer, my steering wheel, my pedals, pretty much everything to get him set up and started. So it took a while to get another computer and a steering wheel, and then I kind of upgraded my wheel to something a little bit better, and it's just taken a little bit more to get used to, and the pedals are a little bit more sensitive. So I'll probably get her wheeled back in a couple weeks, but for right now it's been a little rough.
That's all right. That's all right, buddy. Like I say, a lot of people have a lot of high hopes for you. Just talk to us about just your role in the racing community in Southern Ontario for some of us who don't know. And you're a pretty important guy behind the scenes, it seems like, and you're somebody who lends a helping hand and crews on a lot of different race cars around Southern Ontario and across the Northeast region.
Yeah, I try and I have no problem lending a hand. I used to race back we're looking at 6-7 years ago now. Used to race Sportsman for a couple of years and Modified for a couple of years, and then my buddy Jordan, we raced together when I was in Sportsman, and then when I got out of racing, I started helping him out, and then Ryan this year with the border being closed, he needed a couple crew guys. Just that we're in Canada, so me and Tyler's helped him out for a long time, and he asked me if I could lend him a hand. So it's been fun. You know, it's always nice to help guys out, and when you run good, it feels good. And you know, being a main crew guy on the car is nice because when the car runs good, like you feel like you really put it there. So with Jordan this year, we had one of the better years we've had. We've been running real consistent, and we've figured some stuff out with the car, and we've been running real good. So Ryan always runs good, so helping him out was pretty easy. I think I pretty much changed like 5 shocks all year, and that was about the extent of my my helping hand for the 38 car. But the victory lane photos were nice.
Yeah, I bet, buddy. We'll get you out of here on this one. So who's the one guy, if you don't win the whole thing, who's the one guy that you absolutely want to beat for the season championship this year? If you beat this person, you're going to be calling it a successful year.
You know, I would say Plank because he always runs really good. But honestly, I think this year, if I can just beat the 21 car, I can go to sleep happy.
All right, buddy. That's awesome. Travis Miller, Miller Light, as we're calling him, and I think I'm gonna make Motormouth stick, especially if he keeps it up in the Discord between races and in the downtime, if you will. Thanks for taking the time, Travis, and keep running some consistent lap times.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Travis Miller, well, a real solid guy. You know, he's definitely a spark plug. He's a great guy to have in your corner in the real world, and he's a great part of this league as well. So, Joe, I'm going to hand it back over to you. Who do you want to invite into the booth this time?
Well, I think it's worth bringing in. Probably could definitely argue this is the main rival to Travis Miller when we're looking at championship. I'm going to pull in the driver of the number 77X On behalf of Traditional Lacrosse and Dig Race Products, I'm going to bring us Brandon Plank. Brandon, this is Joe Donahue with BRPtv. You got a copy?
Yep, you got me?
Oh, there we go. Yes, we do got you, Mr. Plank. Well, it is great to see you again. It's been a minute. How have things been going with you? You're picking up where you left off. You're at the top of the leaderboard. But how did 2022 go for you?
Yeah, no, not too bad. We went to a lot of races, so it was good, kind of getting out and kind of pounding the pavement and traveling to a bunch of races with the shock band and yeah, had a good season and looking forward to the off season. So as I've kind of been getting the messages about how the league's starting back up and had to get the computer back on and updated and definitely looking forward to things again this season.
Yeah, I mean, you were a hot shoe for the championship last season. You won 4 races, and that's for about 30% of the races you ran last season. You won with this group, and you've been very consistently in the front outside of that. So obviously, coming into this season, I'm sure you have set fairly good expectations for what you're going to be able to accomplish with this group.
Yeah, I hope so. This is kind of, most of the racing that I do. We race once in a while, kind of hosted sessions. This is the, only kind of dedicated night of the week that I race. And, you never know what you're going to get with the updates. And, this is a great group of guys. I know a bunch of them from being, at the real life track, and a great group of guys. And it's a lot of fun kind of getting on here on Monday nights. And the coverage is always so cool. My parents tune in. So yeah, so hopefully we can, compete, and that's all you can try to do, right?
Absolutely. Well, you talk about these broadcasts and being a part of it, being a part of this series. What has this series meant to you? Obviously, as you mentioned, the only real dedicated thing you've got going with iRacing, but just to have all of these guys to bring together weekly racing that you can kind of have some fun with and set some goals on a nightly basis for yourself to do well and just kind of relax and have some fun at the same time. What does this do for you, maybe from the role that you're not, say, a driver, but you still make your living off of the racing scene now that we're in the off-season?
Yeah, it's so cool. If you look back at the progress of, Column Racing video games, right? Like we did it all. We had, the PlayStation sprint car game, the, computer side of things. We've kind of always done simulated racing. So, I mean, if you could, time travel, right, we would have never really expected to be racing, big block modifieds at tracks that we know and at tracks that we visit in real life. So it's really cool. And my parents and, grandparents tune in, which is really cool. My dad, raced for a living most of my life, and everybody was always watching him, right? So once he kind of, stepped away from the driving side of things, I feel like me just running, as simple as it is on here, leagues, it gives my grandparents something to watch, my parents something to watch. It's just fun to kind of be, the driver, even though I don't race in real life and, don't have any plans to. It's cool to get on here and especially to try to compete against, a good group of guys. I keep kind of circling back to that. It's a great crew.
I agree 100%, and we appreciate everybody on your behalf coming in and supporting the series, watching our broadcasts, and appreciate you coming back with us. We're looking forward to seeing what sort of records you can break this year and maybe get that championship for the 77X team. Thank you for being here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again, and thanks to all the sponsors and you guys. It's it's a really cool deal. So thanks a lot.
Absolutely, Brandon. Well, thank you, and that is one of the hot shoes to watch for the championship in my mind. Was third in the power rankings at the end of last season. Had some, at the very end kind of lulled down a little bit, but that is definitely a guy who can win multiple races in a season, Jonathan. So that's one to watch in my eye.
Absolutely, and another one that has definitely been adventuresome in this practice, but can be bad fast, Tyler Pacholski. Why don't we bring Tyler in the 21P ride? Another guy who's local to these parts, and we're used to seeing the 21P on track around southern Ontario, but the 21 making some great time and great laps out on the Charlotte Oval. Tyler, how is it going?
Good. How you do tonight?
We're good, my friend. You have had some wild laps. Like anytime that I've been noticing the 21 on racetrack, you might be, on your side, wall riding, but you might also be doing some making some bad fast times. So talk to us about how it's feeling tonight and what you're looking forward to in this 2022-2023 season.
Yeah, tonight I've been a little bit everywhere, in the fence, upside down, just trying to get, I guess, comfortable with, how black it's got here tonight. Run a bunch of laps, but as far as the season goes, excited to get it going at Volusia, a place that I normally run half decent at, so excited to go there the first race, hopefully get a good one and set ourselves up good for the whole year.
Yeah, you've looked fast. You had a pretty nice Monday night last night in that little test race that we ran. So now with a bigger field and more competition out there, what are you feeling? What are you noticing? And do you feel as fast as you look? Because again, you're looking pretty consistent out there.
I mean, I've noticed, basically everybody that, we were kind of racing with last year in that probably 8th to 15th range. They've all seemed to got a little bit quicker this year, and Brandon's still quicker than all of us. So looks like we need to get a little bit more to compete with him, but that'll just take time. And I don't know what more we can do to get as fast as he is.
Well, you mentioned Volusia. Is there any other tracks on the schedule that you're really looking forward to and maybe feeling like they might play into your strengths?
Charlotte's a pretty good one too. I don't know. I prefer when he gets this black. I'm not very good when it's wide open. Usually suits me a little bit more when he gets black, and we got to slow down some. So, like I said, he plays early, gets black.
Nice. And you got, I'm checking you out on screen right now. You got the black 21 right now. Do you have any plans for a paint scheme? And what are you going to bring to the table this year? Are we going to see that yellow and blue 21 on the iRacing season this year?
No, we got one in the works, just not completed yet. So we'll have it out for the first race next week.
Nice, keeping it under wraps.
Yeah. Thanks to Matt DeRidder at MDR Designs. He'll have me looking fresh for next Monday.
Awesome. Is there anybody in this league that you're looking forward to that, maybe if you don't win the overall season, but you're like, if I can just make sure I beat that guy, then it's a successful season?
Probably the boys we're hanging out with at the racetrack every weekend, spinning some wrenches on the 2-1 for me there. Corby, James, Trav. Sometimes we're spinning the wrenches for Ryan. So kind of any of those guys that I'm with every weekend. It'd be nice to get a little bit of bragging rights next summer.
Awesome, buddy. Awesome. Well, enjoy out there. The track is coming to you. You're up against the wall, really pushing it on the outside. So enjoy your practice run. We'll let you go here and keep up the consistent lap times.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Here's that is Tyler Pacholski, another one of the guys, Joe, that I get the chance to call. And we kind of have a joke, actually. There's not a joke kind of behind the scenes, and I don't want to pick on Tyler, but there's some rumors and some people speculate that his sister Emily, who also has been a driver who I've had the pleasure of calling a race for, she's almost as good, if not better, than Travis or than Tyler on some nights. So talented family, that Pacholski bunch, and if we ever needed one extra person in this league, I feel like Emily would be a good invitation. Ooh. Maybe create a sibling rivalry inside the BRP iRacing league. That would be kind of cool.
Ooh, I like a good sibling rivalry. I have a sister, and I don't know how I'd feel if she was a better race car driver than I am. So that would draw them up, Jonathan. That's not a bad idea.
They are both incredibly talented, and you got to give Tyler some love. He really gets the most out of his equipment, and he can really take care of a car here locally in Southern Ontario. And he's also a pretty helpful guy in the pits. Like I said, he's already been, as I say that, he taps the wall again too. I swear, every time I watch this 21 car, he's up against the wall, maybe sometimes riding it, sometimes making speed. But Tyler, definitely one of the bright young stars around these parts, and a guy who's always willing to lend a hand and be a part of some great crews.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, when you come into this series, you're going to find Tyler can be a little bit of a grenade. He'll do crazy things with this car. Yeah, he'll definitely get up there and maybe change kind of your perception of that a little bit. He can get up on the haunches.
But he's kind of like a He's a bit of a Ross Chastain for some of our NASCAR fans.
I think that is a great way to put it. I agree, 100%. Well, you spoke about sibling rivalries, and we do have one this season, and I'm going to bring the second of the two. We talked to the Beef already, but we're going to bring in Liam Daniels here on BRPtv. This is Joe Donahue. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, Liam, it is great to have you here, committed to this series. It is the, at least from my side, the first time we've had you with BRP that I've been commentating, and I'm extremely excited to have both of the Daniels out on track for these broadcasts this season. I'm sure you are too.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be fun to go out there and race with my brother and see what we can do.
What sort of expectations do you have? I mean, you are very versed to racing, obviously, with your brother and some of these other good friends of yours that you have in this series. So you have a little bit of an edge when we talk about some of the newer names to this BRP iRacing series this season that haven't been around for a while, that you know how to race these guys. You got a couple different curveballs and jokers in there, too, though, to work around. So how are you feeling in that regard that you know some of these guys and some of them you need some more experience with to really get how they race?
I think it's gonna take some time to kind of feel everyone out, and I kind of gotta work on myself, and I'm just kind of out there to have some fun, turn some laps, maybe hope for a few good finishes, and kind of just work on putting laps together.
So that is definitely the name of the game. Are there any sorts of tracks or people specifically that you're watching out for this season? Is maybe for a track a good opportunity or something you need to work on, and drivers that you're kind of looking to base your skills and style off of?
Yeah, for sure. I think tracks, I feel I'm going to be more comfortable in a small block at some of the smaller tracks. I'm working on just putting laps together in a big block. It's huge throttle control, so that's something working on. As for guys, there's so many good guys in this series, lots of real-life racers, so many good wheelmen out there. It'll be fun to just race around them and kind of work on being door-to-door with them.
And for everybody watching here, we'll clear the air. Are you the younger or the older brother?
I am the younger brother of the two.
Well, we're going to see if that younger brother is going to be the number one driver of the duo this season.
Yeah, we'll see. It should be a good battle.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming on with us, Liam. We're excited to have you this season.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And that is Liam Daniels, Jonathan. The two Daniels together, Beef, Liam. We could have a little beef between the two of them. You never know. Brothers, brothers are going to be the ones who race each other the hardest, right?
Absolutely. I love that paint scheme that Liam runs, too. Of course, the Mike Bowman 71. Very familiar to anybody who attends Maryville Speedway. Mike, of course, was the champion in that very same scheme in the 358 Modifieds. I believe that was, last 2 years ago, technically, I guess now, after we had the co-champions of Lindbergh and Soucy this year. As we're going through the order here, I feel like now might be a good time to jump on and grab TC, my podcast co-host, Travis Cunningham. See if we can get him dialed up. And let's see. TC, you got a copy, my friend?
Copy.
There it is. There he is. My podcast co-host on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. Travis Cunningham joining the show in the 90. Travis, you are more of a sprint car guy these days, but you do have some modified experience. And you just made a little bit of contact and did some yard work there as we're watching you make some laps. Tell me about your confidence level, because you feel like you're going to be towards the bottom of this league based on the conversations I've heard from you.
Oh yeah, I'm just like new to the game and stuff, and run a lot more sprint cars and stuff like that on here, but I'm sure I'll figure it out by the end of the year.
I've got a lot of confidence in you. I always have faith in you when you're actually behind the wheel, and virtually I got faith in you too, buddy. So just talk to us about what you got planned for this number 90. Right now you got the all-black paint scheme. You got anything special coming down the pipeline for what this 90 car is going to look like, or are you going to keep it simple and plain?
I was pondering a Southern Ontario Dirt Show scheme.
Ooh.
Yeah. We'll see if we can pull that off, but opening night I'm going to do a Ivan Little scheme for the Pete Costco Memorial for sure.
Awesome. A nice throwback.
Yep.
Awesome. So, you got the virtual world. You got some racetracks on here that are highlights. Is there any in particular that you're most excited about racing and maybe feel the most confident at on the schedule?
Ooh, in these things, I ain't really all that confident in any track. Maybe pretty good at Cedar Lake in this thing. And Gary Cunningham Memorial. It's on my birthday at Weedsport. I stink there, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. Maybe I can pull something off. Maybe get a top 10 somehow.
That would be awesome. And the other thing, too, is we're going to have a Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast race at either one of the two Port Royals. That was the poll results that got voted on. Port Royal was the winner of the poll. And I don't know. Do we call it the Southern Ontario Dirt Show Podcast 75? Do we call it... I wanted to run with the Dirty McDirt Race 75, brought to you by Southern Ontario Dirt Show.
I'm not going to say no to that, that's for sure. It's definitely got a nice little ring to it. Kind of a rip-off of that NASCAR race, so a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Bush race.
Yeah, the Bush race, which is like... I think didn't it all stem from some kind of like cruise ship or like a tugboat that was like Bodie McBoatface, something like that. But yeah. I thought it was a good one. It was clever. So what do you think you're gonna need here to get up and get better and maybe start competing with these guys? Is it just gonna come down to seat time for you?
Yeah, that's basically it. It's gonna have to find some time in the off season to practice this style car. And another thing, although it's going to be different this year because they're resetting the track after practice now, but I'm not used to when it gets super slick because a lot of the hosted races can still stay a little bit tacky, but our longer races are going to definitely blow the track off a little bit more, so it's got to be ready for that.
Well, here's a good question. Well, we cover a lot of local racing around here. From all the tracks that we cover locally, if there is one that you could pluck and put in the iRacing and put in this schedule, which one would you want to pick?
Ooh, I'm going to have to go with Oswegan on that one.
Oh, come on. You don't want to put Maryville on the list? Yeah, I thought you were a short track guy this year.
I am, but yeah, I don't know. Oswegan, they've been talking that actually happening, so...
I would love to see it.
That's why I went that way.
I think Oswegan and Maryville absolutely need to be in iRacing, and we need a little more Canadian representation in this game, especially for Canada's oldest dirt track in the Big O, which has hosted many different series, including World of Outlaws, and the big blocks as well have been through there. So, buddy, I'm going to let you go. You need all the practice you can get, and we'll talk on the podcast later this week, buddy.
All right, thanks, Jonathan.
No worries. Travis Cunningham joining us in the 90, and my podcast co-host on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. I want to see that scheme now. I didn't know he was going to run a Southern Ontario Dirt Show scheme. I don't know if he's parking it, maybe doing some donuts on the grass here. I like it.
Hey, got something to come back for next week, right?
Yeah, absolutely, right? I know the Ivan Little scheme is going to be awesome. That's a great throwback pick for the Pete Costco. But, Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. I don't know if I want to see it ahead of time or if I want to be surprised now.
Oh, man, I feel that. You'd want to come in and see it early because you're just so excited for it, but it would be something to bring it to you live and check it out for the first time on call. That would be pretty cool. Hey, your life, dude, I don't know. I would have as much of a hard time as you probably are figuring out what I want to do.
I don't know. Okay, so before we bring somebody else in, Joe, if you were going to run a scheme, what would it look like? Is there one throwback scheme that you would try to put on one of these modifieds to be in the league?
Oh, yes, 110%. So I'm from Palmyra, which is right near Lebanon, Pennsylvania, and for people who are maybe either a little more old school or know their way around the history of modified racing, that's right out of the Tobias camp. So Dick Tobias, or Toby Tobias, you could know him as, was a very popular driver on the dirt scene. He raced in USAC, he raced sprint cars, he raced modifieds. His sons all raced modifieds, and even his grandkids now are into micros and modifieds around the East Coast area too, into New Jersey and such. And he's from Lebanon. So if I was running a modified, I would 110% be running a Tobias car. No question asked.
Oh, very nice pick. Very nice pick. For me, it'd be tough. I've seen a lot of great schemes throughout time. I keep coming back to. I'd have to pick probably a 42. Pete McNell, an absolute legend of these modifieds and a legend of Merrittville Speedway where I work, and of course one of the man behind Bicknell Racing Products, and the reason why all of us get to be here, right? With BRPtv, the BRP iRacing League, and BRP, of course, Bicknell Racing Products, the U.S. store, the Canadian store, kind of bringing a bunch of faces together. And I'm just looking through Google right now. I'm like, I don't know which Pete scheme I would pick. I mean, he's got a big classic blue and white and with almost orange numbers, 42, that you've seen at Ransomville in the past. For me, the classic orange that he ran this year, the throwback. But I think I keep coming back to the white, black with the kind of red number Champion Oil Integra Racing Shocks 42 modified that he ran. I think 2019, 2020, that car was on the racetrack, and that's when I started at Merrittville and have since had the chance to call a win for Pete McNell, an absolute legend. And yeah, that'd be my paint scheme. But maybe I change it around to like 24 because 24 is more my number.
Well, I completely understand that. Obviously, with your background, that's going to be a little close to home for you, so that would make. I mean, that's why I picked mine as well. Being close to home like that and having something to look back on with that car, I completely get it, and good color combinations on top of it. We will continue forward with talking to some of these guys. The next guy I was going to bring in here has gone silent from our Discord. Hopefully we'll get him back in here at some point. I don't know, but he was from Pennsylvania. We'll see if we can get Dean Meitzler back. But I'll bring in the other guy from Pennsylvania since we're on the topic of the Tobias cars. And this guy actually, he must be listening in on our broadcast, literally just posted a picture of a Toby Tobias Jr. car, the Ritchie's, that his family ran in 2006, and I got him here. He's from Doylestown, Pennsylvania. They call him Hosehead. I'm curious about that one, but we got him. You got a copy?
Got you guys.
Well, there's Zach. So yeah, go ahead. I mean, talk a little bit more about your family's history with the sport. For those who maybe don't know where you come from in your background with racing and how it got into your blood, and what you do with that, and are you better be running a Tobias throwback next week?
Unfortunately, I'm not running a Tobias throwback. I ran that last season. I'm running a throwback to my my uncle's car that he ran when he started racing as the second generation, because he ran the number 11 when he started. Yeah, so my family started racing in 1974. We bought a Don Kreitz modified and trailer in 1974, and we've been racing ever since. We're actually getting the third generation of the family into racing right now. They are just raced their second season in slingshots, and one of them got their first win over at Kutztown, where Richie Tobias runs the track. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he does. Him and Doug Rose, the guy that runs Bridgeport, run that track. Richie mainly does the track prep. But yeah, we've been racing for a long time now. 3 track championships at New Egypt Speedway, and yeah, it's kind of one of those things. My grandfather calls it a drug. Once you get on it, you can't get off of it.
I agree with that 100%.
And can't really imagine my life without it. But yeah, I don't really know the story of how we got with Richie in terms of how he ended up in our car, because I was pretty young when that happened. I was only about 7 years old. But yeah, I remember Richie really well, and Richie still remembers me, surprisingly, even though he only met me on a handful of occasions. But that's just the way that Tobias's are, really.
I'd agree with that. I mean, that's a tried and true racing family, but that's definitely a good family too. I've met some people who knew Toby pretty well, and that I mean, hey, they're Lebanon guys, but they're good guys at heart, and
absolutely
really just a good group. But we'll bring it back to you because I want to talk about the cars you're running. So you're running inverse, correct me if I'm wrong, you're running inverse schemes on your small block and big block this season. One of the rules this season is that you need to run a different look on the big block, small block. That's for identification purposes on the official side of things. So you're running with pink and yellow this year. These cars
is cool.
They're popping pretty good. I'm liking this pink car, but maybe talk about kind of what went into that design work with MDR Designs.
Well, the story behind the pink really is Matt's been doing my paint schemes for a while now, and sorry, just gonna stop here for a minute because I get a little huffy and puffy when I'm racing. But Matt's been doing my paint schemes for a couple years now, and I saw a chassis when I was at Kutztown actually, and it was this pink chromish, like a magenta chrome was the chassis color. And I sent a picture of it to Matt and said, hey, can we recreate this? And he said, yeah. And I went, yeah, I really want this paint scheme to I wanted it to be in your face was what I told him. I wanted it to be in your face. And originally this pink was going to be that magenta chrome, but the paint scheme got so bright and so loud, as Matt called it, we decided to just leave it as this the non-chrome version of the color. And yeah, I really like it. But yeah, the yellow everybody seems to like more than this one, really.
Well, the yellow, I've seen some pictures of it. It is very, very sharp. And it looks really good. But I do love the pink, and it's definitely going to make you stick out. As the only pink car on track, it will be easy to identify you, which on Jonathan's behalf as well as my own, we appreciate that.
Definitely.
But we're looking at the rest of the season here. I'm curious what your goals are. You ran 6 events with us last season. 2 of those did not result in feature events, but you didn't run the full season last time out, which was your first time with the series. I know your work sometimes was a factor in that, but do you have goals and plans to be with us every race this season? And what are you shooting for? Top 5s, top 10s?
Yeah. Actually changed around my work schedule this year so that I could make sure I'm there for every race. So I will be running the full season. But yeah, I don't really have many real actual goals. I would like to get in the top 5 on a relatively regular basis, but it's not really a main goal for me. My main goal is just to make the feature every night and just finish the race without any real damage. Don't get caught up in too many things. Kind of took a break from iRacing for a good minute, just to kind of was starting to have unrealistic expectations of myself after I won a division championship with the officials on iRacing here, and wasn't really doing good. I tanked my iRating and everything, so I decided to step away from it for a while. So I'm just easing myself back in now. Been running another league on another night this week, and I knew as soon as Corby announced it was going to be big block versus small block for this league, I immediately knew I was definitely running the BRP series this year. But yeah, that's my only real goal for the season, is just be relatively competitive. Don't be around the back just riding along as a roadblock.
Well, we're definitely excited to see you put that together. I'm thinking we could expect some good things out of you this year. So thank you for coming back again, joining the series. We'll be looking to see what that number 11 car can do, and we'll set you on your way. But thank you for coming up into the booth with us.
No problem, guys.
And that is Mr. Bardsley. He is representative of Pennsylvania. We're running Pennsylvania races 5 times this season. So he's got 5 attempts at a home track win. And I don't know, maybe you'll put one together, or at least get a good finish out of it. Who knows? Those racetracks they're pretty unique, the 3 of them that we got in PA for the modifieds.
Definitely. And a great point about Zach's paint scheme, too. I very much appreciate the unique colors. You're never going to mix him up, especially for a guy that I haven't had much opportunity to watch before or check out. So he's going to stand out. Joe, before we bring in somebody else, I wanted to give a shout out to a couple of guys that I'm looking forward to calling some races for again, who aren't here tonight, but Jordan Costco and Randy Giroux. Randy Giroux, I was really excited to see his name back on the schedule. He's a guy who has competed in modified lights here in the Southern Ontario region in the past, and then this season wasn't with us because he was down at school at UNOH. So I'm excited that Randy's going to be back racing, and I'm looking forward to giving him a shout out, and calling some of his racing action along with Jordan Costco. And somebody that is with us is Jordan's cousin, actually. So maybe we should bring in Double D, Dylan Davidson.
All right, let's hit it.
There he is, Double D. Dylan, you got a copy. Dylan Davidson, you got a copy. Can you hear us in the booth?
Hey, yeah, I got you here.
Hey, how's it going, my friend?
Well, pretty good. How are you guys?
Not too bad. I wanted to start right off the hop. Buddy, are you in the doghouse? Are you looking for a place to sleep tonight? Because you posted a new iRacing rig. Is that what we're seeing in the chat here?
Yeah, I got it jerry-rigged up here with a banquet table and just bought a new monitor and everything else. So we're all set up here for the season. The old lady's not too happy about it, though, I don't think.
That's okay. It happens. It happens, buddy. Good to have you with us. Good to have you in the series. What are you looking forward to this season, 22-23 season for the BRP League?
Well, we're just out here to have fun and, get prepped up for the next season of real-life racing. This is always good practice and just keeps you in the loop with everything else and keeps you sharp for when you get back out onto the real dirt.
Awesome, and you got the Costco haulage on the side of the car, just like we would see on a Saturday night at Maryville Speedway. You got some tight racing there. Somebody's trying to get under you there and almost made some contact, or maybe a little bit of contact there. But it's a special week next week, able to honor Pete and his legacy in the virtual world. So just talk to us a little bit about your family and the Costco name.
Yeah, I'm a fourth-generation driver on the Davidson side, and on the Costco side, a lot of racing history. My grandfather, there goes Pat. Sorry, Pat. My grandfather, he started racing a little while ago, and he was more of a car owner than a driver. He still jumped in once in a while, but as everybody knows, he owned Humberstone Speedway for a while and was a pivotal point in Niagara racing. And it definitely left a big hole when he passed away. And it's nice to be able to honor him next weekend. And it's always nice to see everybody come together for that race.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I was very excited to see that we're going to honor Pete in the virtual world as well in my first season. And just talk to us about your 2022 season here locally in the 73 car.
Yeah, it was definitely a learning experience. We're getting better every week, but it's just such tight racing out in the modified class. We got some of the best out there. A lot of well-known names, especially the guys that come over from Ranceville. I mean, Matt Williamson, for instance, he's a really good driver. There's no doubt about it. Like, he's a fantastic driver. So racing against him, it's tough, but it's also a great way to learn. You get in behind him and follow him around the track, and you'll know the fast way around in no time.
Definitely a competitive series. Southern Ontario, there is no easy nights in this region when it comes to racing at Maryville, at Humberstone, even when you go across the ditch to Ransomville. But just talk to us about this upcoming season, this virtual season. Is there one driver that you're like, if I can at least just beat him, I'm feeling comfortable, I'm feeling confident, I feel like I had a good time this iRacing season?
I'd say Mr. Ryan Soucy, if I can get by him and, race alongside him, because then I know, it's a gauge, because I race against him in real life. So to know how he does out there and seeing me up against him in the virtual world, it gives a good gauge of where I'm at with my skills on the track. But obviously, again, the top drivers on here, Travis Miller, all those guys, it's be an honor to beat them as well, but it's pretty tough to beat them, and we'll try our best, but there's no guarantee.
Sure, buddy. Well, we'll get you out of here on this one. You've got a pretty diverse schedule, lots of legendary racetracks that we're hitting in this calendar year. Is there one in particular you're feeling most comfortable, maybe most confident at, more so than any of the others?
I think either Weedsport or Lernerville. Lernerville is most like Humberstone, and I've raced at Weedsport before, so Those are the real life tracks that I'm most used to and most comfortable with. So these bigger tracks like Charlotte, I'm not great at the bigger tracks. It's just not my discipline, I guess you could say. I've always been used to the short tracks, so that's where my skills lie.
All right, buddy. Well, keep putting in some solid laps, get your experience, and get some confidence here when we have to come back to Charlotte towards the end of the season. Thanks for joining us, and dodging cars in front of you who's spinning here. Try to stay out of the doghouse, buddy, and take care. Have a great night. Dylan Davidson joined the show.
Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Dylan, obviously coming from a long history on both sides of his family, lots of legendary racing genes in that young man, and I'm stoked that he's going to be part of this. And there's so many local names that it really does feel like a Saturday night for me with the amount of guys that are in this league, Joe.
Yeah, so Dylan is one of the guys who's been with this series a lot. He raced 5 events with us last season. Was around, not every week obviously, but he was around. So one of those guys who I'm looking forward to watching a lot this season as well. We're gonna bring in, I think we're gonna get Dean Reynolds next. He's not in the session. He is he's been watching the stream, and I think I caught his attention talking about the Tobias cars. I probably caught my dad's attention too. I'll take a minute to make a shout out to my dad. Hi, Dad. He's downstairs listening in, and we've also had a lot of people watching. We want to thank everybody. We've been up to like 25 people at a time for this broadcast, which for the first time with BRPtv, that's a big deal, at least for me, to think that we've assembled 25 people to watch us talk about these guys and talk to them tonight. So thank you everybody for tuning in. That really does mean the world, at least to me. I'm sure Jonathan as well. To be a part of this is very much a pleasure, and it's great to see everybody coming together. We've got him. Here is Dean Reynolds in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear, Dean. It's great to have you here. I know we don't have you in the session, but obviously, you're going to be a part of this season this year, and we got to talk to you, see, how things went for you in the off season of this series, the regular season of the real world, and just how your 2022 went.
Well, it's been real busy. I'm actually still down in Charlotte after the World Finals. I don't fly back to tomorrow night, so I really wanted to do the media day. I enjoyed it last year, and that's what got me into the league, and really enjoying what you guys are doing and seeing the guys, and hopefully I'll be a little bit better this year, because last year I only qualified for like half the shows because I was really new to iRacing. But maybe this year, maybe we can pop off a couple top 10s.
Well, yeah, this year, fortunately, you're not going to have to worry about not qualifying for races. I believe we're on a completely everybody who shows up makes the features situation for this season. So we'll have you in those features. But I thought you did have progress this past year. I mean, you were very loyal to the series, and I think your mentality last year was one of my favorites, because you had those nights where you weren't as close to the front, but you're still having fun. And that, at the end of the day, that's really what this is all about.
Well, with my job in real life, where I go to so many races, and in my role of running the Super Dirt Car Series and Dirt Car Northeast, I use iRacing as my getaway. And when I get behind the wheel, it frees up my mind for a good hour and a half, and I really do enjoy it. I have done a couple of leagues now, and try to run 2 or 3 races a week, and it's just fun to get away and have fun with the guys. And I enjoyed a lot of the racers I've known before I joined the BRP League, but then got to know a lot of other ones. And you just build a lot of camaraderie, and that's why I really find fun with iRacing.
I agree 100% with all of that. I think your work with the actual racing scene is the same way, and from my experience too, you build a lot of camaraderie with people, and then you come here and you meet guys from all over the country who have the same interests as you. Well, not even country, I should say, because we're an international with Canada and America coming together here for this series, so you get to meet a lot of really great people. I'm curious, I have a buddy, a really good friend of mine, who works for Volusia. His name is Matt Skipper. He was at the World Finals. He did a lot of media work. I'm curious if you met him. at all?
I know of Matt, and we've brushed shoulders and stuff, but we haven't really sat down and talked. But in our company, it's kind of weird. We actually have 60 people that work for World Racing Group, and a lot of new young talent that came aboard this year. And I met for the first time down here at the World Finals, and actually, I worked all day in the office, and I saw people walk by, and I go, "Who's that? Who's that?" And so it's fun to see younger generation as well getting involved in the sport, and hopefully we'll see even more. It's funny. I'm becoming one of the older guys. I don't think I'm that old, but at 56, I'm definitely getting up there in the years now.
Well, it's awesome to have you as a part of the World Racing Group because of just how much that means to the dirt racing world to have that national stage for the Super Dirt Car Series for late models and obviously with the World of Outlaws too. You've been a big part of that. You see kind of how the scene of the virtual world is changing interest and how people are getting involved with it. And obviously you're a part of it with this series. But what does it mean to you to see all of that come together? It's bringing in sort of a younger crowd. People are getting a little bit, I won't say a great understanding out of the virtual stuff, but it's giving a really great starting point to learn a lot more. What does it mean to you and kind of how you see it in your role?
Well, and I've kind of grasped the iRacing entity of it as well. I am actually an admin for Dirt Car Esports. And, I really found enjoyment in the virtual world. And I think a really cool scenario that happened over Super Dirt Week. I run in another league, Coast to Coast that a lot of people are familiar with. Ryan Beagle runs and several of the other guys. We had a driver named Isaac Salas who I became friends. Never met him. He's a very young kid, good kid. We have the Super Dirt Car Series logo on his car. And he's never seen a big block modified in his life. Well, in the virtual world, he began running them, and he's really good at it as well. And then all of a sudden he says, you know what, I need to come see him. He lives in Minot, North Dakota, and he flew out to go to Super Dirt Week to see the big blocks. And that's what's really cool about this. He would have never came to Super Dirt Week. Wouldn't even know what it was if it wasn't for iRacing. And then here down at Charlotte, I had a couple of other people that I've met because I've joined a racing team, Full Throttle Motorsports, and they raced big blocks as well, but never seen them live. And they came to Charlotte and saw big blocks for the first time. So that's where you get your enjoyment out of the virtual world versus the real world, is actually they can meet, and enjoy it all the same. And that's what's cool about iRacing. It's just growing, and with leagues such as BRP, that are out there and just really make a good showing of what can happen in the virtual world and then come see it in real life. That's what's really cool about it.
It's very awesome to hear that and see, I'm sure for you to see it, but for us to hear of how it's making an impact on our sport. I mean, it wouldn't be much in the virtual world if it wasn't for what we have in the real world. So thank you for coming in. Short notice like this. I really appreciate you doing this and coming in talking to us on Media Day, and I'm really looking forward to continuing to talk to you throughout some of the races this season.
I appreciate it, and hopefully I do get the chance to talk to you. I mean, if I make a podium in the league, that's going to be really cool. I don't know if I'm good enough to do that, but I'm sure going to give it a try this year. We had a practice race at Volusia a couple weeks ago, and I actually took third in it, but just like everybody else, we followed Brandon Plank. And so, I mean, if you're within the straightaway of him, you're doing well. But I'm really looking forward to it. It's a great league, great bunch of people. And, and you guys doing the broadcast on BRPtv. I'm proud to be a sponsor. And, I just can't wait till Monday.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate it tons. Thank you very much. Safe travels back to home from Charlotte. And we'll be looking forward to seeing you out next week.
Thanks, Joey. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Dean. That is, man, nice guy. Such a good guy. We've talked about that with a lot of these guys out here, but really genuine person Dean Reynolds is. So he commented to me about the Tobias thing, said, hey, you can get in here, and just pulled it together for him to come in and talk to us quickly, Jonathan. And I know we are running out of time. I didn't think we'd go this far, but we got a couple more guys hanging around we could talk to here.
Yeah, definitely. That was great to catch up with Dean, and that was a great point he made about getting different eyeballs and getting people to follow dirt racing. Somebody who's heading out back onto the track that I've had the chance to watch run a couple laps and have some tight battles. How about we get driver of the 68, Dirty Dave?
Yeah,
Dave Depietro.
Let's get him.
And he's joining us now. Dave Depietro heading back out on the racetrack and joining us in the booth. Dave, you got a copy?
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. We were just, I was just taking in that battle that you were having there with the 45, and talk to us about your night. Talk to us about putting in the extra work. You're one of the last few guys that seems out on the racetrack still.
Yeah, just turning laps. I don't get a chance to do this much racing during the season. A sportsman in real life, so I don't have a lot of time to get on the computer during the summer, and I'm rusty, so I need all the practice I can get.
Talk to us about that season. Talk to us about being in the sportsman and racing stateside and how things went in 2022 for you.
Fourth in points at my home track, Ransomville. A couple DNFs at the end of the season hurt us. Came home with only one win there. Got 2 wins at Batavia, Genesee Speedway, and did a little bit of traveling. Went to Utica Rome a couple times. Went down to Port Royal there for the speed showcase at the end of the year. That was our big end of the season show, which is cool to go race a track like that, you know.
For sure, and it's a track that's going to be making an appearance on the schedule. Are you feeling confident about that track, or is there actually a different spot on the schedule that you've got circled as maybe the track that you can really have a standout run at?
I don't know about standout runs anywhere, but we're decent at Port Royal in the sim rig. I mean, as decent as I am anywhere else, I guess. I'm not, like I said, I don't get a lot of chance to run the sim stuff, so I'm not the competitive guys like the Millers and Planks and them. You know, they're just on another level compared to me.
Fair enough, buddy. But you were out there running some competitive battles, having a tight battle. What's the thing that you enjoy most about this league? Is it the ability to stay sharp? Is it the competition? What makes the BRP league fun to you, Dave?
You're racing against a bunch of really fast cars, so if you can have a decent run against them, you know you had a good night, even if you can't get the wins and the podiums all the time. Plus, I know a good deal of these guys through racing and through work. I actually work at Bicknells with Ryan Soucy, Tyler, and Jordan and Miller all work at Bicknells. Beef used to, so I know a lot of the guys just through racing in general. Obviously, Dean Reynolds being dirt car Dean, so it's cool to just stay in touch with the guys over the off season, and definitely staying sharp. It does help a lot. I actually turned some laps at Port Royal before I went there just to try and get a feel for the track. I actually think it helped me, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of guys have made a note of that, sometimes just getting in and getting familiar with where your points are, where you want to turn in, where your exits the corner are, can make a big difference in the real world, and vice versa as well. You mentioned a couple of the guys that you keep in touch with, a couple of the guys that you work with that are in the league. Is there anybody in particular that you've got circled that you if you can beat them this year in the championship standings, you'll feel pretty good about yourself?
Well, it'd be fun to beat Ryan in the 38. I don't see it happening, but I'm certainly going to give it my best, you know?
For sure, man. He's a champion over on this side of the border in the modifieds. We'll see what he can do in the BRP league, and we'll see what you got for us, Dirty Dave. Thanks for coming on and keep putting in the work. You got about 14 minutes left in this practice here, Dave Depietro. Thanks for coming on.
Right, thanks for having me. Have a good night.
Cheers, eh? That is Dave Depietro, another guy who I've had the chance to call some racing action with before when he's made the trips across the border to race here locally in Southern Ontario, where I'm located. And Joe, we're running out of practice and we're running out of guys out on the racetrack. So who do you want to bring in next?
Yeah, so we are about 14 minutes from this practice being over. The track is completely dead. I think that's a fair assessment. But a couple of these guys just taking the opportunity to go around. We're only left with 2 more here live with us. For any drivers who are out there that were here or could get in here that are with the series, we'd be happy to have you come in and talk to you. We're going to bring into the booth Dan Cider, who is somebody that I have seen a lot of progress from over my time with the series and watching him. Dan, I'm pretty sure you've been with the series every season that I've called it. You've got a long tenure with this group.
Yeah, I've been with them for a couple of years now, I guess.
It's been awesome to have you and to continue to see you grow and succeed and be a part of this series. And your season last year, you got a few top 10s to your name. Are you looking for a little more this season? We got a lot more races, so a lot more opportunities. What kind of expectations do you have?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if I can get into the top 5 a couple of times this year, I'll definitely be a success for me. And then if we can stay in the top 10 all season long, I'd be happy with that as well.
That'd be awesome to see. And I'm curious what your background is on the 2022 season, what your involvement with the racing scene has been, and kind of what your experience was like. And especially, I know on all sides of the coins, the world we live in right now, it's kind of straining racing. So I'm curious kind of how you survived 2022 with your real world racing over the summer.
Yeah, so I don't race a race car myself. I'm actually one of the tow crew drivers. So I work for Bill Tripp Race Recovery. We did the towing out at Humberstone Speedway this year, and hoping to get out to more tracks next year with the business.
Did it have any, how did it go business-wise for you guys with this season? Because I know that, we had a lot of shortages and tracks had, canceled weeks for things. And I'm curious kind of what your view on the whole thing, what you experienced was like.
Yeah, so Humberstone, I decided not to run a full season this year. So they cut it back to 8, I think it was 8 double headers or something like that. Overall, though, it was a good season for us. We, did what we did. We've been doing the towing at local racetracks for the better part of 20 years. So the season was a solid season for us. And like I said, just hoping we can sign more tracks next year and get more time out on the trucks.
Oh, that would be awesome to see. And speaking of time out on tracks, I mean, this car, this is a new paint for you, if I recall correctly, or at least the last time we ran with this series, this is not what you were looking like. So you got some fresh paint on this car, and you've used up the time tonight to practice. Are you feeling a little more comfortable now that you've gotten, 2 whole hours of practice in?
Yeah, it's a lot of laps, a lot of understanding what the car is doing. I don't run a lot of big blocks. I usually run the small block in the other league that I'm in. So getting some time in the big blocks and the slick is really what I've been looking for. And luckily we had quite a few guys out tonight, and they burnt the track off pretty good. So kind of understanding where the car can go and what I can do with it, what I can't, and how to roll it through the corner has really been good. Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a good start for you with the big block versus small block situation we got going on this season. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for staying patient and staying in the session for us to talk to you here later in it. I know, it's been a while, but we appreciate you sticking around with us, Dan.
Yeah, no, thank you very much.
And that is Dan Cider of the 084 out on track. You will see it listed for 84 scored as well. Jonathan, we got one more guy sitting in here that we can talk to, and fortunately he's a guy that you might know. You called him out, somebody you are familiar with, so I'll hand the mic to you and Jamie Porter.
Yeah, it'd be great to bring in Jamie, who's Jamie Porter joining the show now, and he is at the top of the charts. Jamie, you got a copy?
I sure got you.
All right, well, we're I was just looking up at the scoring monitor. You are third quick so far in this practice session. So tell us about how you're feeling tonight in the 45 ride.
I'm just using these laps to kind of get a feel for the game again. Really, I haven't played in, I guess, since last season, mostly, other than a couple practice races here and there. So I've done 338 laps so far. So I'm hoping by next Monday I'll be back in prime form.
You are absolutely putting in the work, my friend, and you're joining us from what some people might consider the Shadowland, racing out of Welland, Ontario. I know that's a bit of something we like to joke about here, but just talk to us about your time in Southern Ontario and being a part of what is a really tight-knit racing community here in north of the border.
Yeah, so I kind of got started with all these guys during COVID with the whole iRacing deal that we got going on, and then through that we made a group chat. We've been talking every day since, pretty much. There's really not a day where we don't go without messaging the group chat about gossip or anything like that. So these are a great group of guys to just be around in general. Like, yeah, you talk to most guys you race with, but not usually on a daily basis. But with these guys here, we do every day.
And how did you spend 2022 in the racing season? What were you finding yourself up to locally around these parts?
So I was helping Brad Rouse. I have since, I want to say 2016. So he finally decided to make the jump to modified this year, part-time. You know, we weren't planning on much, maybe a top 5 here and there, but came out with a win, and that was definitely the highlight of our season for sure with what I was helping with.
Yeah, for sure. You guys had a pretty consistent run. That 18R was pretty much almost always a factor, at least in the top 10 locally on Saturday nights at Maryville Speedway when he jumped in the modifieds. And there's also a couple nights that he ran that Sportsman as well that he's always so good and so dominant in. Just talk to us about the schedule coming up, though, in the BRP iRacing League. Is there any races you've got circled on your calendar, any particular tracks that you're most excited about jumping on?
I usually run pretty good at Lernerville and Knoxville, so those two are definitely at the top of the list. But one that really sticks out is Pacholski Memorial. If I could finish top 5 or even squeak away with a win, I think that would be the highlight of my year for sure.
Definitely, that is definitely a special one to have, and it's next week, so you're putting in the work, you're putting in the time, turning hundreds of laps, and pretty fast so far. So where did the number 45 come from? As you said, we're watching you right now with a bit of a wild ride up off that corner. But talk to us about your number choice. Where did 45 come from?
So around when I was 12, I started racing go-karts here and there. And of course you need a number, so I went downstairs and I looked at my grandpa, and his birthday was June 4th and mine's the 5th. So it just kind of fell into place right there.
Nice. That's a nice, wholesome story about why you get your number. I'm always interested in why people pick the numbers that they do for their race cars. But practice is winding down. We're approaching 5 minutes left. I'll get you out of here on this one. Is there one guy that you've got circled on the roster of talent in this league that you're like, if I can just make sure I finish ahead of this guy in the point standings, I'm going to call it a successful year?
Ideally, it'd be Brandon Plank because he's always good wherever we go. But one guy would be Tyler Pacholski for sure. He ball busts me a lot throughout the week. So if I could just beat him in points, I think that'd be a good year.
Sure, buddy. All right. Thanks for coming on here, Jamie. And good luck with the season. Keep up that fast pace and have a great run next week at the Pacholski.
Thank you.
Jamie Porter joining us. The Pistol coming on. He is the last one, I think, out on the racetrack. Might be the only car left, Joe. It's looking pretty barren on this racetrack almost 2 hours into the session.
Yeah, so we're at the end of the road here. Dave Depietro, Corby Daniels is not on the track, but he's still here, and Jamie Porter. So it is just Dave and Jamie out there right now. I think that's something that I have a lot of respect for, is the guys who will just come out and turn laps until the bitter end because they want to get as much practice as they can. And being able to drive a car well on a track that is as used up as what we've got left of Charlotte now definitely is going to give you some skill with car control that can feed into the rest of the season. And so I have a lot of respect for Dave and Jamie as well in the first place, let alone the fact that they're still here. We appreciate being able to talk to them. But that's pretty much exhausted everybody. I think they've all gotten kind of tired of it. The track is dead, so we're kind of moving along with their night. It's about 10 o'clock Eastern time, so we'll be set to wrap things up here. But Jonathan, we've talked to a lot of these guys. I'm curious kind of what you've gathered from them, your experience seeing what these guys say, what their expectations are, who they're looking to beat. And, we got 21 races to figure these things out, but going into it, what are you feeling? How are you thinking the season's going to go? People to watch, things you're excited about, anything?
Well, for sure, I think we got to start with Brandon Plank. It seems like everybody that we talk to, or almost pretty much all the field, say he is the guy to beat in this league in that 77X ride. And I mean, he was fast tonight, so it's hard to argue against Brandon being a favorite. But I think there's some guys laying in the weeds. I think there's some guys who wanted to ho and ha and just say like, oh, I'm not that, I'm okay, I'm not that good, whatever. You know, you got guys who are turning literally hundreds of laps. That's going to come into play. That's going to come into factor and be a part of their skill development all season long. I'm always going to keep an eye on the guys who are actual drivers. You know, Ryan Soucy, a champion, where I spend my Saturday nights. He is the co-champion at Maryville Speedway this year. In the modifieds, you know, he's going to be strong. He's got experience in the real world in big blocks and in small blocks. I'm obviously going to be keeping an eye on my good pal, Travis Cunningham, who I think he's just happy to be here, my podcast co-host. He's happy to be here, and I know he's going to put on a good show. But I was surprised. I can't remember which driver it was, but somebody said that Ryan Beagle, the big dog, always consistent and inside the top 5. And I don't know if that really shouldn't come to a surprise, because that's the way he is on any given night at a real dirt track. Always consistent, always right there in the top 5. But in a modified, in the virtual world, he's got some skills. So it's going to be easy for me to root for the guys that I know locally. But I think the story is who is going to be the one to step up and challenge Brandon Plank for the title and for a lot of these race wins.
Yeah, that's a great point that you mentioned about the guys who are, you know, real-world drivers. But Brandon Plank is one of those guys. I mean, last season he got a lot of wins. Travis Miller has had a lot of wins in this series over the past. Ryan Beagle put together an excellent finish of last season. He didn't win a race last year, but he did get 3 top 3s and a couple top 5s, more than that, 6 top 5s. So, yeah, he's one to watch. Gavin Isley is somebody who was, I think he was here earlier. We didn't get to talk to, unfortunately. That's a name I'm watching. I think Matt DeRidder and Brian Berger are 2 of the standout guys who could be strong this year that weren't necessarily as strong last year. Adam Hilton won a race, could win another one. I mean, we got a great group of guys. We got a great group of really genuine, good people who are good at racing on iRacing. They're here to have fun. They're going to be competitive, obviously. That's racing. But we got a lot of really strong drivers to watch out for. And it's been a pleasure to bring it all to everybody, you know, being here live from the dirt track in Charlotte virtually on iRacing, and talk to everybody, see where everybody's standing at. And Jonathan, I think, you know, we can pull up these results from the session here and kind of look at who was strongest, who wasn't. There's no way that Depietro is going to run a faster lap time, so we've got our times in.
Yeah, for sure. You know, Plank right at the top. DeRidder, who you shouted out in second fastest. Jamie Porter, a guy who's getting lots of experience, turning lots of laps, getting back into the flow of iRacing. And Tyler Pacholski, another one that I don't know. I think it's going to be like checkers or wreckers kind of season for Tyler Pacholski from everything I've heard about him from other drivers in this league. What I've seen from him, I know he has the ability to turn some fast laps. I know he has the ability to go out there and run well. And I think this top 10, I think our champion is coming from somewhere in this top 10 right now that we're looking at.
I think that's a fair assessment. I think these are some of the biggest hitters of who we can expect to see winning races this year. I'm watching Travis Miller is not in this grouping. I definitely wouldn't count him out, but this is a good group of guys right here. And bummed we didn't get to talk to Jeff Sharp or Dean Meisler. Those were 2 guys at the bottom of this top 10 list that I wanted to get into the broadcast here tonight. But I think we should be able to talk to them by the end of the season, so we'll get them in. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in and showing up on the results side of things. It was nice to just have those guys here in the first place, let alone them showing why they're here, you know, why they're here and how strong they're going to be this season. I want to bring up the schedule on the screen. You guys can check that out one more time quickly while we wrap up our broadcast. Be sure to remember this season is different. It's not the iRacing Big Blocks, the iRacing BRP Big Blocks. It is the iRacing BRP, the BRP iRacing Series, running big blocks and small blocks. It's technically big blocks versus small blocks. Just remember that. We'll keep you in the loop as we go about who's running small blocks where and when. 8 races for everybody in the small block, and then they get the rest of the, what's 21 minus 8? That's 13. Good math. I'm an engineer, so I should be able to do math. 13 races with the big block is the maximum that you can do. So those are just some things to watch out for over the season. We've got to thank the partners of the series. Obviously, MDR Designs, that's Matt, BRPtv, Creative Turnings, Southern Ontario Dirt Show, 47 Technology, Dig and Jam Performance. It's just a lot of people, even with the Super Dirt Car Series, who come together and build up an opportunity for the 21 people we had here tonight and the 30 registered for the season to take on 21 races of what should be some of the most exciting iRacing stuff you're going to see in the off-season. So we can go ahead and wrap it up from there. I know it's getting a little bit later into things, but Jonathan, I want to thank you for coming along with us this season. And from my experience with the series and from Corby and Matt as well, it's a pleasure to have you. I hope you're feeling comfortable and ready to go, and maybe got a couple things you're looking forward to this season. You know, it's very dynamic. The drivers, the big block versus small block, the schedule, the timing of everything. This really is going to shape up into being very interesting.
Definitely. There's plenty of storylines to follow, plenty of different aspects to this series that we can follow throughout the year. We'll see which drivers maybe make the most progress. I'm looking forward to seeing who improves from race 1 to the end of this calendar when we're back at Charlotte closing things out. Joe, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling very excited to be a part of this. This is a really, really awesome way to keep those racing juices flowing as we're well into the off season locally here in Southern Ontario, but I'm glad I've got something to keep me busy on Monday nights.
That's a big thing. You know, it's just a good way to spend the off season and a good way to keep in touch with all your buddies as we await the arrival of a new racing season back out on our actual dirt tracks. And be sure hopefully everybody's looking forward to that next February, March, April, kind of depending on what your local tracks do. From my end, pleasure to have everybody here as well, and we want to thank you for helping BRPtv become what it's been. We had a lot of people here with us on the stream. We still got 8 of you guys listening to us, so we're going to set everybody free, but again, from the whole team at BRP, with Matt and Corby running the show, Jonathan and I in the booth, all of our partners, all of everybody racing. Thank you guys for tuning in on the first of what's going to be a long period of Monday night action. Keep your Monday nights open for the BRP iRacing series. Pleasure to have you here with us tonight, and we'll be looking forward to bringing you the Pete Costco Memorial at Volusia next time out. Be safe until we meet again. We'll see you there. Well, then we're clear. That was, yeah, I was surprised. I mean, I noticed that we were talking to guys longer.